Hi boys and girls, this is Miss Ray and
Mrs. Seaman,
and we're going to help you to create a really good question for your passion project. All right boys and girls, we're going to share with you 3 types of questions. The first question is called an inch question. An inch question is a question that has just one short answer. The answer can be found in just one search. Not much research is needed.
an example of an inch question would be, for example, what type of dogs are friendly?
The reason that's an inch question is because you could just ask your neighbor at your table and they could tell you that their golden retriever is friendly and you're not getting any more information out of it.
Okay, a foot question is a question that can be answered in a summary or an explanation in a series of steps. So it can be found using maybe 1 or 2 resources.
For example, if I were to ask my neighbor about what kind of care does a French bulldog require, they might tell me that you need to bathe the dog and you need to walk the dog and you need to feed the dog, and so I might just end up with a list of information. The last question is called a yard question, and this is the one that we really want to use for our passion project. When you think about yards, think about measurement. And we know that a yard is longer than a foot and it's longer than an inch. So let me explain what a yard question is. Yard questions really make you think. The answer can be found after using multiple resources, then putting it all together to form your own idea. So for instance, you might interview your neighbor, you might read a book from the library, you might call a veterinarian in this instance. So an example of a yard question would be,
For example, you could say, how are French bulldogs and golden retrievers similar and different? And even, which is a better fit for my family?
Okay, just to go back over the information real fast. An inch question, you're not going to have to travel very far, right? You're just going to have to maybe go to one source. The foot question, you're going to go a little bit further, maybe asking 1 or 2 different sources for information, maybe reading 1 or 2 books. That yard question is going to take you real far. You're going to talk to people, you're going to look at books, you're going to go on the internet, and you're going to find lots of information that you can use to answer your question.
Okay, today what we're going to be filling out is your project proposal. So we're going to take with your proposed topic and we're going to try to get you to type your top 3 inquiry-based questions, then why these questions are important to you, and then what do you hope to learn from these questions? And number 5, how do you plan to share your project with others? And lastly, what materials do you need? And on the back, there's going to be some ways we can support you and your project, and we want you to be thinking about those ways that we can best help you.
All right, so boys and girls, I decided that my topic was that I wanted to write a children's book to honor a family member. In order to do this, I have specific questions that I would need answered. First one, what details or facts about my grandmother do I want to include in this children's book? How does a push boat operate? How do I get my book published? After doing my project, I really hope to learn more about fiction writing because I plan on having the push boat, be my grandmother. So the boat's going to be talking. And then also I want to learn how to create a book for others to enjoy, because just because I know my story and like it doesn't mean others will. Then after I do my project and I put it together, my dream would be to have it actually put into a real book that maybe I could give to you all, a hard copy, or sell it at Barnes & Noble's. But if that doesn't happen, then I know that in December, when I want to show my project to everybody, that I could just have paper laid out in the order that I expect these words and pictures to appear in my book. In order to do my project, of course, I'll need paper, a computer, markers, a printer, and hopefully that's it. Sorry, boys and girls, I had to go back and delete question number 3 because I made a mistake in my video, so I want to go back over it with you. The reason this project is important to me is because my grandmother never got a chance to meet my 2 children and my brother's kids. So I hope that through this book, my kiddos can learn a lot about who we called Dana. When my grandmother passed away, a boat company in New Orleans named a push boat, which is kind of like a tugboat, after her. So I wanted to learn more about that boat also, period.
So in order for Miss Ray to get these things, she would need help with finding facts about push boats and where she would start with her research. And another way, help her find facts about New Orleans and talk more about New Orleans and get to know that. And then lastly, need her help with editing and revising her work, and she would be an excellent resource for that.
Okay, kiddos, it's your turn to work on this now. And we want you to remember that yard question. So when you're putting together your project proposal, remember that you should be going to more than one source. You might need to ask friends for help. You might need to call somebody and interview them. You might need to get a book from the library. You might need to go to certain websites, all to be able to answer your question. So work on your project proposal, and then after you put it together, then work on creating that yard question.
We wish you the best of luck, and we are here to help you in any way that we can.